Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about something you might walk past every day but never really see, the incredible historic rooftops of Sydney. We're going to get into what makes them so special, what's putting them at risk, and, most importantly, what it takes to save them. Let's jump in.
You know, it's so true, isn't it? When you're in those suburbs, you just find your eyes drifting upwards. And that's because these aren't just covers to keep the rain out. Nope. They are the personality, the very signature of Sydney's oldest neighborhoods, telling you a story with every single tile and slate. And right there, that's the heart of the problem. After 100+ years of relentless sun, salty air, and torrential rain, these beautiful old roofs are starting to give up. We're talking crumbling mortar, slipping slates, cracked tiles. Their unique character is literally falling apart. And that story they tell, well, it's in real danger of being lost for good.
So, to really get what's at stake here, you first have to appreciate just how much variety we're talking about. Sydney's history isn't just one single style. It's this amazing, rich tapestry, and you can see that woven right into its rooftops.
And you can really see that difference here. On one hand, you've got the classic elegant slate roofs you see all over Paddington. They look deceptively simple, but they're often hidden behind these high walls, and they have these concealed gutters that are just a nightmare to deal with. Now compare that to the grand Federation homes. You know the ones, with their steep, complicated roof lines and that iconic rich red terracotta tile work. They're two totally different beasts, each with its own set of problems.
So what are these old roofs really up against? Well, think of it like a constant, never-ending battle against an enemy that just doesn't quit: the Australian environment itself.
Okay, let's break down the four biggest hitters. First up, you've got that brutal Aussie sun, just baking the tiles day in, day out, making them brittle. Then there's the salty air rolling in from the harbor, which just loves to eat away at the old iron nails and metal fittings. Third, Sydney's heavy rainfall. Man, it's like a master detective for finding the tiniest crack. And finally, you've got the wild temperature swings, causing everything to constantly expand and contract, creating stress fractures everywhere.
And here's the thing you've got to remember. If you own one of these homes, a small problem, a single slipped tile, a tiny crack you can barely see, it never ever stays small. It's an open invitation for water, for rot, and eventually for a repair bill that is going to make your eyes water.
So how do you fight back? Well, this is not a job for a quick fix or a tube of silicone. No way. Proper heritage restoration is a specialized art form. It's a craft that demands precision, patience, and a deep respect for how these things were originally built. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with the ridge capping. That's the line of tiles right at the very peak of the roof. The first key part is the bedding. The easiest way to think about this is like structural glue. It's the solid mortar base that physically holds those ridge caps down, stopping them from blowing away. It's the foundation.
And then, on top of the bedding, you have the pointing. Now this is the finished layer you can actually see from the street. It's not just there to look pretty, it's the final weatherproof seal. It covers all the joints and protects the bedding from the elements. So when you see this part cracking, you know the whole system is in trouble.
Now, what about those beautiful slate roofs we saw earlier? Here's something that's kind of wild. The single biggest point of failure is often something you can't even see. It's called nail fatigue. The original iron nails that were hammered in a century ago, well, they just rust away to nothing. And once that nail is gone, gravity takes over, the slate slips, and boom, you've got a leak. A tiny little detail with massive consequences.
Oh man, this is a classic bodgy repair. Someone sees a crack in the lead flashing, the metal sealing around a chimney, and they just go to town with a tube of silicone. Sure, it might seem like it works for a couple of months, but it always fails. Why? Because it doesn't move with the roof. It's a Band-Aid on a broken bone, and it just doesn't work.
A real professional restoration follows a very clear path. It all kicks off with a super thorough inspection, from top to bottom. Then comes the planning, which means finding period-correct materials, and believe me, that can be a real treasure hunt. Next, you've got to fix the bones of the roof first. Any rotten timber battens or support rafters have to be made solid. Only then do you start carefully replacing individual broken tiles, before you finish up with the all-important hose test to make absolutely sure it's watertight.
And this quote, it just nails the whole philosophy. The goal isn't to make a 100-year-old roof look like it was built yesterday. Not at all. It's about making it strong and weatherproof again, while keeping as much of that original character and that beautiful patina of age as possible. It's a very delicate balancing act.
So this brings us to a really important question. If your old roof needs some love, who do you actually call? You might be thinking, does it really matter? And the answer is, oh, you better believe it does.
I mean, it's a fair question, right? A roofer is a roofer. What's the big deal? Well, when you're talking about heritage work, it turns out there's a huge difference. A world of difference, actually, between a general roofer and a true specialist craftsman.
Just look at the breakdown here. Your general roofer, they know modern materials. A specialist, they know the exact profile of a terracotta tile from 1925. A generalist is all about modern techniques that are fast. A specialist knows the old-school methods. And this one is huge. A specialist knows the local Heritage Council rules inside and out. It really comes down to their whole approach. One is about ripping and replacing, the other is all about preserving and protecting.
Okay, so what can you do about all this? Well, when it comes to your own piece of Sydney's history, the best defense is a good offense. Being proactive is absolutely everything.
Here are 4 super simple things you can spot yourself right from the ground, no ladder required. Are there broken tiles in your garden? Can you actually see cracks in the mortar up on the ridges? Do you see rusty-looking streaks coming down from the chimney? Or does the whole roof line just look a bit wavy or saggy? Any one of those is your signal to get a professional in for a proper look.
And that's the real payoff here. Once a proper restoration is done, a little bit of maintenance every year or so, clearing out the gutters, just checking for cracks, that's often all it takes. That simple, proactive care can mean the roof outlasts you, and you'll never have to worry about another massive project again.
Look, at the end of the day, this is about so much more than just keeping the rain out. Fixing a heritage roof is an investment, for sure, but it's also an act of respect. It's a salute to the incredible skill and hard work of the original craftsmen who laid every single one of those tiles a century ago.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. If your roof really is a monument, a living piece of Sydney's story, are you absolutely sure its future is in the right hands? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.